Welcome back to Financial Management. My name is Miriam, and I'll be walking you through Lesson 3, Part 2, Checking and Savings Accounts. Today we're going to take a look at the difference between checking accounts and savings accounts. We'll then take a look at the differences between savings accounts and certificates of deposit. Finally, we'll take a look at the features of different checking accounts so you can figure out which one is the best one for your needs. We'll then do the same thing with savings accounts. If you'd like, feel free to follow along and fill out the worksheets in your binder. You can also go to the computer lab, download the worksheets from Google Classroom, and print them out. You will need certain handouts later in this lesson to complete the assignment.
All right, I'll catch you later. I gotta run to the bank.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I ran out of money in my checking account, so I gotta make a transfer over from my savings.
Transfer?
Yeah, how else am I supposed to pay my rent?
You just write a check from your savings account. Done deal.
I'm pretty sure I would know if you could do that.
Let me see your checkbook.
All right.
You just write a check like you normally would. And then in the memo space, you write, please take this money out of my savings account. With a little smiley face in case the teller is having a bad day.
This works.
Every time.
All right, thanks. I'll try it.
I really hope you don't actually do that. Your checking account and savings account are two very different things with very different features. Here's what you need to know. A checking account is where you put your money if you need easy access to it. And yes, you get a checkbook and a debit card so you can make withdrawals. Checking accounts place comparatively fewer limitations on where and when you can deposit or withdraw your money. So the balance of your account likely ebbs and flows with your expenses and income. Because of this turnover rate, however, the balance in your checking account does not earn interest, making the account an ineffective savings vehicle, but a highly effective transactional one. The opposite is true for a savings account, which is intended to be a tool for investing rather than spending. Savings accounts are largely inaccessible compared to checking accounts, not offering a checkbook or debit card, and requiring either a withdrawal or a transfer to a checking account in order to spend its contents. This is by design, of course, because when left untouched, the balance of your savings account accrues interest over time, suitable for long-term wealth building. There's also a major difference between the two accounts in the eyes of banks. You see, the classical banking business model relies on collecting interest off of loans, and those loans are funded by the bank's savings account deposits. Don't worry, your money will be there when you need it, but until you do, the bank lends it out to other customers. Just make sure your bank and account are FDIC insured. With checking accounts, money may be withdrawn quickly and unexpectedly, so it's not in the bank's best interest to lend it out. That's why checking accounts have some fees that savings accounts don't have. But when it's 3 a.m. at a creepy gas station in the middle of nowhere and you need to fill up your tank, you'll be glad your checking account is there to foot the bill, fees and all. Savings accounts and checking accounts are used for drastically different reasons. So if you really do need to pay your rent today, please go to the bank and don't try to write a check from your savings account. But I will say the smiley face was a nice touch as far as mistakes go.
Okay, so to recap, your checking account is a place to store money that you plan to spend. It gives you quick and easy access to your money. Your savings account is a place to store money that you don't plan to spend immediately. It's designed to help you save for long-term goals. So your checking account offers easy access to your funds through ATM withdrawals, your debit card. Many of them come with the traditional checkbook and easy ways to transfer to pay bills online. Your savings account often has a higher interest rate. There is some limited access though, so you won't be tempted to use it for impulse buys. If you need to access the money in your savings account to pay for things, you'll have to transfer it into your checking account first. And some accounts limit the number of times you can do this. Your checking account is used for paying things like your bills, your grocery bill, other everyday shopping. Whereas your savings account is really for building that emergency fund and saving for a big ticket item like a vacation or a car. Each one of them does carry the risk for some fees. Your bank may charge you fees if your checking account doesn't maintain a minimum balance, if you use ATMs outside of your bank's network, or if you withdraw more money than is available in your account. and that's the overdraft fees that we talked about in the last lesson. Your bank may charge you some fees in your savings account, again, if you don't carry a minimum balance. So if you dip below a certain amount of money in your account, or if you withdraw too many times from the account. So what does the bank do with the money that's in your accounts? In your checking account, they don't touch the money at all. Sometimes they add additional fees. It's kind of like a service charge for them storing your money and providing services like debit cards, ATMs. In your savings account, the bank may loan out this money to other bank customers. However, if the bank is insured, the money will always be there when you need it, so you'll be able to withdraw your funds even if the bank has loaned it out. They pay you interest on this money as an incentive for you to keep your money there so they can also use it. Now we're going to take a look at certificates of deposit. Certificates of deposit are part a savings tool and part an investing tool. We'll talk about them a little bit more in depth in the saving and investing lesson, but we're going to have a brief overview now to compare them to more traditional. So certificates of deposit are a way of earning interest on the money you're saving. And they do this by locking it away for a certain amount of time. It's called a certificate of deposit because you get a contract with the bank that has 3 pieces of set information. 1, the amount you deposited. 2, the interest rate that they'll pay you. And 3, how long you have to keep the money in the account without touching it. CDs often earn a higher interest rate than regular traditional savings accounts, but they have penalties if you have to take the money out early. First, you buy a CD at a certain price. That's the amount of money that you want to put in. Then the bank will assign an interest rate, and that interest will grow each year. So the CD will earn money for you just by sitting there. And finally, at the end of the period of time that you and the bank specified, which is called when the CD matures, you'll receive the original amount you put in plus interest. So if you put in $10,000 into a CD with the 4% interest rate and a 1-year term, you'll receive $10,400 at the end of the year. So why should I do this? 1, it's a very safe investment. You'll never not get the full amount back. You have a fixed or variable interest rate, and it's relatively easy to open one of these accounts. The downside, low liquidity. You can't pull your money out. And low interest rates compared to other investment tools. So how do you know if this is right for you? 1, are you able to set money aside and not touch it? Do you already have an emergency fund? So if something comes up, you can pull the money from the emergency fund and not the CD. If you have wider investments, are you looking for portfolio stability? And are you able to handle loss on inflation? If you answered yes to these questions, then a certificate of deposit might be the right investment for you. As an added bonus, in the US, deposits are protected by the FDIC. What's the difference between a certificate of deposit and a regular savings account? Both of them earn you interest. A CD is likely to earn you a little bit higher of an interest rate, but the downside is that you will have bigger penalties if you pull the money out of the account before the end of the term. So you have less flexible access to your money. Like a traditional savings account, the bank is likely loaning your money out while it's sitting in the account. So other customers may be using that money, but because the accounts are insured, if you need to pull the money is yours and it is always available to you. We'll talk more about these accounts in the saving and investing lesson. Now we're going to take a look at different features of checking accounts and savings accounts. Both credit unions and banks offer checking accounts and saving accounts, and many offer multiple types of each account. The goal is to pick the account that best meets your needs so that you get what you need while paying the fewest fees. In order to figure out the best account for you, you want to think about how you're going to use the account. Do you want an account that you can deposit your earnings in, pay your bills electronically, write checks, transfer money, make everyday purchases, some of these or all of these? How do you feel about access to a physical bank branch? Or how important is it to you that there's an ATM near your house, work, or school? Or do you think you can do most of your banking online or over the phone? Do you travel out of state or out of the country and want to have access to your own bank branches and ATMs while traveling? How much money are you able to keep in your account? What matters more to you, an accessible bank or minimal fees? How important to you is it that your account balance earn interest? And do you qualify for any special accounts, such as those for students, seniors, or members of the military? Now, I know that was a lot of questions, so we're going to take a look at how these different needs will show up in account information considerations. So these are the terms that you're likely to see on account information pages. First, we're going to run through some of the costs you want to keep an eye out for. You want to compare the amount of costs for different accounts and think about the ones which you might be most likely to have to pay. A monthly service charge or maintenance fee is often what the bank or credit union charges you to keep your account open each month. We talked a little bit about overdraft fees in a prior lesson with debit cards. So this is what happens if you spend more money than you have in your account. Sometimes there are other debit or ATM card fees, particularly if you use an ATM that's outside of your bank network. Some accounts will charge you money for having a low balance below a certain amount. Some have separate fees for online banking. Some accounts will charge you if you order printed checks, and some will charge you each time you look at how much money is in your account. Some features you want to be aware of. Does the account you're looking at have the limit on the number of transactions you can make per month? Is there a wait time for deposits to be credited to your account? So if you get a paycheck, will you have to wait a certain amount of time to be able to access that money? Does your account come with check writing privileges? Does your account allow you to electronically bank and pay bills that way? Does your account come with overdraft protection to potentially offset some of those overdraft fees? And then the final thing to look at are the requirements to open the account. Some checking and savings account have a minimum opening deposit, meaning you have to have at least, let's say, $100 or $500 to open an account. Others have a minimum balance. So this means that you must maintain a certain amount of money in your account each month, or else they can hit you with a charge. Certain accounts will waive the monthly service charge or maintenance fee if you maintain a minimum balance. And finally, some checking accounts will waive fees if you have direct deposit, meaning your paycheck is set up to directly deposit into your checking account every pay period. All right, so now we're going to take a look at two different checking accounts. The summaries for both of these checking accounts, TD Beyond Checking and Neighborhood Trust Checking Draft Account, and the comparing checking accounts charts are found in your financial management binder, or you can go to the computer lab, download the worksheets from the Google Classroom, and print them. So take a look at the summaries for the two accounts, TD Beyond Checking and Neighborhood Trust Checking Account. Neighborhood Trust is a credit union. TD Bank is a regular bank. Look at what they offer, and then for each of the factors, place a check mark in the box of the account that best suits your needs for the category. And keep in mind, we're thinking of a checking account here. This is money that you plan to access often. If there are other factors that are important to you, add them at the bottom of the chart. Pause this video to take as much time as you need to read through the account summaries and fill out the chart. Press play when you're ready to keep moving with the lesson. Now we're going to do the same thing, except with savings accounts. The summary for both the TD Bank Simple Savings Account and the Neighborhood Trust Credit Union Savings Share Account are in your financial management binder, or you can go to the computer lab, download the worksheets from Google Classroom, and print them out. You'll see that a number of the factors here to consider are very similar to the ones for the checking accounts, but Remember that this is money that you don't plan to spend often. So, does that change the way you consider each factor? Pause this video to take as much time as you need to read through the account summaries and fill out the chart. Press play when you're ready to keep moving with the lesson. Thanks for watching this video. To get credit for completing this lesson, go back to your Google Classroom question assignment. Submit a few sentences explaining which checking account you chose and why, and which savings account you chose and why.